Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Vaipo. We're going to be having another game casted here today. It's another game from Dreamhack 2015, and this is actually going to be HuK and Bly versus who is he on again now? He is in Evil Geniuses, and that is HuK. Now, a bit of history about both of these players. HuK, who is previously on Team Liquid, he's actually been on the scene for quite some time now. Now, some of his previous recent achievements have actually not been that huge. So, for example, his most recent one was the Red Bull Battlegrounds in Atlanta. That was 3rd place, and he won $1,700 for that. And before that, the most major achievement he had was actually back in 2011. It was the Dreamhack Summer 2011, where he won $16,000. As far as I'm aware, he's currently in Grandmaster Series, and basically he's been up in the professional scene for quite some time now. So there we go, we've got ourselves a hatchery coming down here, 16 hatch, that is pretty standard opening from our player Bly. Now, a bit of history on Bly. He's actually appears to be quite a new player. He is from the Ukraine. His history is not that huge from what I've seen on the Liquid wiki about all the professional players. His most recent thing was actually Dreamhack Open in Bucharest, which is 2nd place, and that's actually this tournament. It's part of this tournament rather. He did get $4,700 for it. Now, as you can see here, we do have a spawning pool coming out straight after the hatchery. Quite standard play so far. No gas as of yet. I do generally tend to open with a gas right after the spawning pool, or even right before it. That way I do have the zergling speed up quite fast. Now, I did mention this, by the way. HuK is actually both Canadian and American. He has citizenships for both. I did look that up. Yes, I did. I'm that sad. So, opening up with a Nexus quite early as well. Now, it's not a Nexus first. He did bring up a gateway just in case, probably just in case there was one of those Zerg rushes coming by. We are, of course, on Ruins of Ceres, so it is a little bit difficult to find the opponent that quick, but just in case, sometimes you do have those sneaky 12 pools going on. Now, a triple hatch actually coming out of Bly. This is quite interesting play right now. He is probably going to start macroing pretty heavy and then beginning some heavy aggression. Still no gas from him though, so that's kind of makes me think, is he going to end up going for a lot of Zerglings, or is he just going to scout out first and then decide what he's going to do? So as you can see here, as of this time, he has not found them, but he is just about to find him here with these Zerglings. Let's just follow them around, see where they get to, and what Bly decides to do out of it. So obviously now he is aware that HuK is on this part of the map. Now, he does have quite a lot of Zerglings streaming in, the Stalker being distracted, but of course he is going to be on the way back now to defend against these Zerglings. They are going to potentially get this pylon off, which is quite interesting. One thing I noticed in Starcraft 2 is you can actually continue building when a pylon is down. As far as I'm aware, in Starcraft 1 and potentially even the previous Starcrafts, if you destroyed a pylon that is being used to warp in units or buildings, it actually cancels the effect. So very interesting to see that, and something to keep in mind for the future. All of the Zerglings getting cleaned up there, absolutely no damage done. This Zergling just playing a little bit sneaky here, probably going to get cleaned up in just a few moments there. Yep, here we go, we have an Adept here, going to take that out, and everything should be fine. Now, the Protoss player is aware that Bly has a 3rd expansion. As far as I'm aware, he did scout that out with a probe earlier, just to double make sure. Yeah, he did indeed. There we go. So we have an Overlord getting taken out here. That is, of course, going to get taken out with the help of the Mothership Core. A Shade here from our Adept actually gets cancelled just to prevent any run-bys. Putting up a full block, that's quite interesting here. So he has, what, 3 total gateways and another pylon just to finish the deal here. He does have 1 gas coming up. He already has 2 in place. Another Observer coming up. Is that a 2nd Observer that I'm seeing? No, it's actually 1. So a bit of harass play possibly coming in here. Actually sentries rather than Adepts. Usually you see this play with Adepts, so it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to try to pull off with that. Perhaps he'll try to put up a few force fields just to kind of disrupt mining, but I'm not quite sure how worth it that is going to actually be for him. Unless, of course, he ends up destroying 4 or 5 probes out of it, or drones rather, which would probably be the ideal situation. So we do have some creep queens here doing some nice spread. We're just 5 minutes in, and he's about a quarter of the way across the map, which of course is a great thing to have always as the Zerg player. Gives you loads of vision, gives you time to prepare, and of course it lets you, this lets you travel fast across the map. So, oh, there we go. So we have got, this is very interesting now. So there's 3 adepts being spawned in here, or warped in here. This ramp is completely blocked off. I assume HuK is just going to keep blocking this off, preventing all of those units from coming here, which is going to be very, very powerful for him in terms of getting the defenses up. Another force field coming up, so these units are absolutely useless right now, not being used up to defend at all. These are kind of dying off here. Of course, he doesn't want the warp prism to drop, so he did lose a few units. I'm going to bring up the lost units tab. 3 adepts, and he ended up taking 5 drones, 8 actually those don't really count because I believe those were already there. He did destroy Queen as well, so I would say this is definitely a worthy trade. As far as I'm aware, it's about 100 minerals, 25 gas. I will need to confirm that just to see if that's correct. I don't remember how to bring up. Look, I don't remember how to bring up the abilities and the spawning units, so it's definitely worth it anyways. I mean, for 5 drones, I mean, that's quite a lot of mining time lost for Bly, so definitely a worthy bit of harassment there. As far as I'm aware, he still has it here also, so Warp Prism is available just to use in case he does want to see. He is going to spot the Hydralisk then, of course. I'm going to be doing a bit of harassment still, so there we go. 1 drone taken out, and he's probably just going to clean that up here and back off before he takes any further damage. 1 drone getting, or 1 Zergling getting team killed, so he's probably like, yo guys, what's up with that? An interesting thing I'm seeing here also is there's a lot of adepts on the field. I mean, that is a total of 9. There is also 2 disruptors, which I like to see quite early because they're so damn strong against units. Their damage is ridiculous. I'm not quite sure how much the Purification Nova does. I do need to figure out the actually, it's shift control. Yeah, I do have it here. So Purification Nova, it does 145 damage and an additional 55 shield damage to nearby ground units and structures. So quite a lot of damage coming out of this. It is on a 21 second cooldown with no cost whatsoever. So quite a useful unit to have. Just requires a lot of micro skills to control. So as you can see now, HuK is going to start building up his base. He really desperately needs to catch up a little bit. This fort being up is a very good thing for him to do, because as you can see, the Zerg player at the moment building his 4th and 5th base, 4th actually being complete, not quite saturated yet, but I don't think he's going to do that until the main base is almost mined out, unless he wants, of course, to get gas out of it. So here we have Lurkers being built, and this is going to be an interesting way to push. It's going to be a little bit difficult with 3 disruptors on the field, but we're going to see how exactly that progresses. If we look at the upgrades, we have ground level 1 for Protoss being built, only building metabolic boost for Zerglings right now, but he has of course spotted those disruptors. He should be aware of exactly what he's facing right now, which is going to be very, very important. So as you can see, the Zerg player now about halfway across the map with his creep. This is very, very good creep spread. Only 8 minutes in, and he has so much vision at this stage. He's going to be able to pretty much see all the way up to the natural base. Ooh, there's a driver update apparently for my graphics card, so that's interesting. Definitely not going to be doing that now though. So Purification Nova coming out, not quite catching anybody, so he's going to want to back off with that. Let's have a quick look at that. We have... There we go, just get rid of that just in case, because I'm not quite sure what kind of effect it's going to have on my recording. So a full-on engage from the Zerg player. I'm not quite sure if this is the best idea, because his Zerglings are getting fully cleaned up, but then again, is this just a full-on distraction? He seems to just be going straight into the base, which, oh my god, is this going to end up paying off? He is sacrificing pretty much all of his units, getting them killed bit by bit, and this could potentially be fatal. If he does not do enough damage here, he could end up losing the game because he just won't have enough units to defend. So as you can see here, units lost. We're going to bring that up here. Look at this, 67 Zerglings lost. And there is not that much left. I mean, if you look at the units lost for the Protoss then, 8 adepts, 4 stalkers, not really a huge amount. And the Zerg player is just losing a lot. But here we go, we do have Mutalisk starting to spawn now. They are of course visible right now, so what I can just see this happening now. Either there's going to be a lot of Stalkers being produced and trying to rush down the Zerg player, or else they're going to start producing Phoenixes, which could also be a very wise option. I'm going to see if he's actually planning on doing that. No, he seems to be putting up cannons at the moment. Probably more interesting in just fighting straight onwards and just rushing down the Zerg player with his full-on army. He probably isn't aware of it, but he does have an equal amount to the Zerg player, which for a Zerg player never really is good. You always want to be on a higher amount in terms of units and of course bases, because then you can reinforce quite fast. A lot of Mutalisks on the field right now. Let's have a look. 17 in total. So this is going to be quite interesting to see how much harassment he's going to be able to pull off. Probably quite a lot. I mean, at this stage there's so many Mutalisks there that he would potentially be able to, you know, wipe out a complete base very, very quickly. These cannons are going to prove a little bit troublesome, but I do believe that 17 should be enough to clean that up. He does, of course, lose one Mutalisk in that engage. Not quite sure how worth it that is. There we go. We do have a Stargate coming down now. A little bit late, but better late than never. In fact, 2 Stargates coming down just for the extra building production. He does probably believe that that Bly is going to start mass producing Mutalisks, which could obviously end up working against him in the long run. Let's just bring this down a little bit because it is a bit too loud. As awesome as the music is, it's a bit too loud. So yeah, we do have level 2 ground unit upgrades going for the Protoss. Still 3 disruptors on the field. Let's have a look at the amount of kills they have. Not getting the most amount of use out of these 4 disruptors, but of course they could potentially come in handy. I mean, one small mistake from the Zerg player and you could pretty much wipe out half an army with those 4 disruptors. So I think that the next option for the Protoss player, of course, is going to be building a bunch of Phoenixes. I do believe he's probably going to start chrono boosting them out. If we look at the Zerg player, he's still producing Mutalisks, which is huge if you think about it. Now, the Zerg player, of course, probably predicting what exactly is going on here. I do believe he's going to start making Corruptors very, very shortly, just to prevent the fact that prevent any Phoenix play that's going to be going on. As we saw in our Parting versus Solar game, Phoenixes and Corruptors quite handily, Mutalisk and Corruptors quite handily survive Phoenixes, even though Phoenixes completely counter Mutalisks. Reason for that is, of course, the Corruptors just stand in the middle and prevent any harassment from going on. There's the big flock of Mutalisks right now. This is the most dangerous thing that a Zerg player can pull off sometime at about, you know, mid-range like this. It just causes absolute devastation. If you look at that, absolutely all of the workers there. There's only 4 workers left on the minerals there. They got completely cleaned up. And again, same here. There wasn't that many of them here, but still causing a lot of damage. Now, that was a big, big problem for HuK right now. He did lose pretty much all of his Phoenixes there, minus this one, which is just sitting there by itself, potentially going to get taken out if it tries to engage. So I do believe that the Protoss player HuK is in a lot of trouble right now. He doesn't have a whole lot of anti-air, just a few Stalkers, and the Mutalisks are just free to roam around and kill whatever the hell they want. So we're just going to keep on following them a little bit. Keep an eye out on the production tab as well. We do have Vipers on the way here, so that's quite interesting. Potentially trying to counter those Phoenixes. That is actually quite a good counter to them if you don't plan on making Corruptors. So a big, big flock right now. Let's have a look at the total amount there. There is a total of 29. Definitely hard to counter at this stage, especially considering they're now with 1 upgrade, which, you know, as yourself, it not just adds 1 damage, but it adds about 3 because each of the Glavies also bounces. So here you go, still a lot of Mutalisks going down. He's actually engaging these full on. I'm not quite sure how good of an idea this is. He did lose quite a lot there, about, oh wow, that's 13 Mutalisks gone just for this bit of an engagement. I'm not quite sure if that was worth it at all. The Stalkers, of course, do have quite a lot of health, quite a lot of damage, but they also have blink technology, which makes them pretty strong at avoiding death. So I'm not even sure who the hell is ahead at the moment. I mean, the match is pretty close up. The only thing that I can say is that the income tab, which I'll bring up here, is a little bit better for the Zerg, particularly on the gas side, because he does have more bases. Now, in terms of overall production, I would say the Zerg player also has a lot more production capability. But then again, it really is limited by resource gain as well. So if you look at the resources, they are pretty even here. No big difference in between them. And we do have, Archons. Now, the Archons are there specifically to prevent those Mutalisks from fighting head on again. If that happens, then those Archons just go to town on them altogether. If you look at that, 47 damage versus biological, and it's splash damage. Oh, here we go. So we've got 3 Lurkers snuck up here, just preventing this from doing any mining. Destroying one of the Vespene geysers, also quite handy. And these drones are just not going to be able to do anything. He's probably waiting for the observer to come in, and there it is. A bit of a miss micro there on the stalker, but of course going to be cleaning out these lurkers right now. Let's look at this. We've got 3 more lurkers here. We have a Mutalisk flock here, absolutely clearing up this base. I do believe that this is potentially going to call a GG. Oh, the disruptor gets pulled in. A yoink maneuver coming in from the Viper. Quite interesting play here again. We have the Phoenixes being quite annoying. They can fire while moving, which is bloody hell annoying. I remember fighting that myself, and the only way you can catch up to them is make them chase you and then very, very suddenly turn around. That way you can actually catch up with your Mutalisks. Otherwise they do fly a little bit faster. This massive Zerg force now heading on into the Zerg base. Very dangerous move, but I do believe that the Zerg player does have what it takes to fend this off. All he really has to do is just not clump up those Mutalisks up against the Archons, and he should really be fine. The only problem that I see from the Zerg player is he has this massive air force that he actually ended up sacrificing quite a bit of, but he doesn't have many ground units. That is something. Oh, we do have Ultralisks coming up. I didn't actually see that he got these up, but I'm going to see how many there are in the field. There's already 5 of them on the field, but oh my god, a bit of a miss micro there coming in from Bly, sending all of his units into HuK. I'm not quite sure whether there was just a lot of pressure going on with the sudden big massive force that was, approaching his base. So, oh my god, these Lurkers are still in this base. This is the 4th base from HuK. And they're just being absolutely irritatingly annoying. They're just not letting any mining from happening. As you can see here, more stalkers a bit out of place. They are getting slowly taken down. 2 of them taken out before they got out of range. 3 even. And here we go, now it's getting cleaned up. Potentially going to get back 15 workers. There we go, getting sent on into the demineral line. But as we can see, more and more harassment coming on from the Zerg player. He does have Viper, Mutalisk engages here. This is going to be a very, very tricky situation for HuK. On one side, he has this massive ground army with lots of Archons, which could potentially decimate those 18 Mutalisks which are on the field at the moment. Sorry, correction, 17. On the other hand, he is not able to leave his base. If he leaves his base and he's not able to demolish the Zerg player, which could potentially result in that, look at this, we got a bunch of Ultralisks and Lurkers on the way as well. So if he's not able to destroy the Zerg base before the Mutalisk absolutely shut down his base, by that I mean destroy all the probes and destroy all the power, or supply rather, which also prevents him from making units, then if that happens, he is going to basically forfeit the game. And it's going to be a difficult decision for him to make. He's going to try to sneak on by. Not quite sure if... yeah, he definitely does see that approaching him. There is one base getting cleaned up. Of course, that is very, very good for HuK. Getting rid of any resources gained. Oh, wow, this is massive. There's no upgrades on these Ultralisks, but they're still pairing quite fast through these units. A lot of the Archons already dropping. Not quite sure where those Mutalisks are. There they are. They're actually just engaging in from the back, cleaning up these units. So the attack got thwarted off just in time. Not too many units remaining from both forces. As you can see here, just a few stalkers remaining for HuK, and still quite a lot of units left for Bly. So 2 Ultralisks, 15 Mutalisks, quite a long game so far. Not all Legacy of the Void games actually last this long, and the reason for that is because of how aggressive the beginnings are. A lot of games could end between 5 and 10 minutes, and other games, even mid-range games, where you have potentially, you know, a Lair and Hive and, you know, something like a Colossus Immortal army up, they would still only last about 12-13 minutes, simply because of how fast the beginning is. Of course, you do start with 12 workers, which is huge. So more harassment coming in from these here. There is an overcharge going on to the pylon, preventing these Mutalisks from doing much damage. They're going to have to back off, of course. Also, three over Archons here. I was just thinking of the line that they say. It's like power overwhelming. But anyways, cleaning up another Immortal, getting a free kill here. Ooh, it's quite nice to see how little damage that did take for that short duration. Oh my god, this was a major micro mistake here from Bly, getting caught by those Archons, doing quite a lot of damage, only down to 12 remaining Mutalisks. So he could potentially destroy 1, 2, 3 pylons and completely destroy the production from the main base of HuK, and he would be very, very limited with what he has left. Now at the moment, HuK is scrambling to get some resources. We're going to quickly bring up the resource tab. There you go, 440 resources or minerals per minute, and a bit of gas from HuK, whereas Bly has 15 to 1600. On the other hand, Bly has very little gas income. As you can see, he is mined out in many places, so he did start to notice that, and now finally bringing up drones onto the Vespene geysers. What I would probably have done in Bly's position, and of course, as I said before, I'm no pro, so I probably would have lost this about 15 minutes ago. But ooh, interesting. I would have probably just snuck a sneaky base here just to kind of have free resources coming out of it. But then again, at the same time, does he really need to? His resources are far better than HuK's, and he also has pretty much control over the whole map. He is the aggressor all the time, so he is the one who knocks, if you have seen Breaking Bad. So I'm not going to do any more movie references because I'm pretty bad at that. So there we go. We have another base getting destroyed from HuK, or to HuK. And I believe that this is going to pretty much put the stop to HuK's economy, and that is pretty much that. HuK calls GG, just simply not able to survive against this. He really probably barely had any drones, or yeah, drones. Probes. I keep getting confused. As I said, I'm still pretty new to the casting of Starcraft 2 games, so it is going to take a while to get used to all the names and all the upgrade situations that are going on, and of course the tactics. So he ended up losing so many probes in this game if you look at the units lost tab, and I believe that one of the major things that he could have taken advantage of is when he had that very, very big army at the start. He destroyed so many Mutalisks at that point. He completely annihilated the Zerg army, but he never took advantage of it to the full extent. Instead, he let the Zerg rebuild, and that really, really backfired in the end. So a great game from both players here, Bly and HuK. Bly taking the very first game of this series. I believe it is a best of 3. So we're going to continue on with the next video, potentially tomorrow, maybe the day after. We'll see when the next video gets uploaded. So thank you for watching, guys. Please leave it a like if you think that it deserves so, and I will see you guys in the next video. Good luck, take care, bye bye.